Hello YouTube, I'm here to talk a little bit about a recent release from Spyderco. This is the Para 3 in teal, FRN handles, and s90V blade steel. This is a distributor exclusive, so it is available at more than one retailer. It's available at several retailers, but only those that are serviced by this particular wholesaler or distributor. This is the knife. Okay, we've got lovely teal color, kind of almost Tiffany blue. It's a little bit different than the kind of similar color of the Wharncliffe in S30V Delica, but pretty darn close. Okay. I'll let you read what Spyderco has to say about it. Okay. You can pause this and take as much time as you like to read. But basically, the things that make this different from any other Para 3 lightweight are the color and the blade steel. Color is what it is, right? Either you like it or you don't. Blade steel, S90V, is an interesting choice, and I think it's an appropriate choice for a blade of this size. If you are a regular follower of this channel, you have heard me before talk a little bit about S30V, which is, I think, an underrated steel currently. It's a steel that people are kind of tired of because it has become ubiquitous. It's, most Benchmade knives, most Spyderco knives now are in S30V, so it's sort of the normal default, and a lot of people have blades in S30V, so they're not excited about getting another one in S30V. And people tend to sort of dismiss S30V as an older formulation and not a premium steel anymore. I would argue that it is just as premium as some of these other steels, although maybe not as expensive. It's a particle metallurgy steel. I would say that the distinction that you got to make is sort of the usage, right? Is it the appropriate steel for the way that this particular blade is going to be used, and whether the design of the blade and the formulation of the steel are complementary to each other for that use. And with something like a Delica, right? I mean, Delica almost sounds like delicate, and Wharncliffe blade is particularly so, right? I mean, a Delica is a very slim kind of laser beam of a knife, and for slicing, it's great. These are normally in VG10 steel, which is also a well-balanced steel, although it's traditional ingot form steel, not particle metallurgy steel like S30V. And S30V does have higher edge retention than VG10. But I would say that for this knife, for this Delica, S30V is a more appropriate choice than S90V would be, because this is, so S90V would give it greater edge retention, right? So you could cut longer without having to sharpen the knife, which might make some sense because this is sort of a cardboard box destroying machine here. But because this blade is so slender and comes out to this very delicate point, the toughness of S30V has to be taken into consideration, and I think makes it a better choice than S90V for this knife, because it's less likely to chip or snap than S90V would be. Now, there's not a lot of difference in terms of size between the Para 3 lightweight and the Delica 4 in this case. But there's significant difference in geometry, and if we look at the blade spine on, we can see that the Para 3 lightweight is a little bit thicker blade stock, and that it carries that thickness further out toward the tip, and then the tip is on a belly as opposed to being a straight line. So you're not going to be grabbing just the very, very tip as you're piercing into something and dragging and putting all the force onto a very narrow section of the blade, the way that you would with a Wharncliffe. So, I think S90V is going to give better. Well, it certainly will give better edge retention, and so I think it's an appropriate choice for a small blade that's designed with a lot of belly and sort of reasonable thickness in the spine, and I think it's a good choice for this particular knife. I think that a lot of times really high-end steels end up in the wrong knives and in the wrong applications. So for example, here we have a Kaiser swayback. The original swayback was in CPM was in 154 CM and N690. N690 I think were the first ones. But it's been issued in a few different blade steels. And this particular one is a Knife Center exclusive, which is in CPM 4V, right? So 4V is a steel that's not so great with stainlessness, corrosion resistance, but is very, very tough. And I'm not sure that that's the compromise that is sort of the ideal formulation for a knife that's this small, right? This is tiny. It's in the same sort of ballpark as these other small knives here, right? 4V is a really tough steel, and where you typically see it is in competition choppers, things with big, like 10-inch blades, where they're going to be abused and they're going to be, facing a lot of force as people hack away at stuff. This is a slicer. This is flat ground, I think. It's a little laser beam, and it would be great for breaking down boxes and stuff like that, but not for chopping through 2x4s, which is where 4V really excels. So, people bought this knife. I think it was reasonably popular. I like the knife. I like the black micarta handle scales. I don't have a lot of things in 4V. I have a few things in 4V. This is the smallest that I have in 4V. I've got a big cold steel knife that's a 12-inch long blade in 3V, which is great for, hacking away at outdoor tasks and stuff like that. But it just doesn't make a lot of sense to have really prioritized toughness on a blade that's 3 inches long. 4V also has respectable edge retention, so that makes sense. But to give up some of the corrosion resistance in favor of toughness is not maybe a super logical choice, in my opinion. Similarly, we see things like S90V on this giant Yo Jumbo, right? This thing, again, is a Wharncliffe. It's a hollow ground blade. It comes out to a very acute tip. And I think probably what a lot of users are going to experience is snapping off that tip. Because S90V, wonderful steel for edge retention, wonderful steel for corrosion resistance, but not such a great steel for toughness. Now, if these two were switched, I think that would make a ton of sense. Put the 4V in the Yojumbo and the S90V in the Swayback. Now you're talking, right? So, you know, I think a lot of people are after, you know, the best blade steel, and you know, when you see something come on the market that offers, you know, what is clearly a recent formulation, you know, and it's a blade steel that outperforms other steels in some categories, it can be tempting to say, okay, well, I'm going to hop on that. But you know, if you're being judicious about your spending and picking things that are going to be useful tools, sometimes just having a really premium blade steel isn't so much the goal as having the right blade steel for the task and for the design of the knife. And like I said, I think in this case, Spyderco has done fine. I think S90V on a small blade that's not a Wharncliffe design, you know, blade that has some belly and has some girth to the spine, makes adequate sense. So I'm endorsing the S90V Para 3 as a smart design with good materials, and I like the way it looks. It is lightweight. All of the Para 3 lightweights that I have encountered have a little bit of this off-center blade centering, where it's biased a little bit toward the clip side and away from the show side. It's not so bad that it rubs, but you know, I've got a few of these, and they all do it. Here's another one, and I've got another one still somewhere around here. Here we go. Okay, so yeah, these are Para 3 lightweights. Look, they're all a little off center, and they're all off center in the same way. They're all going toward the clip side. So I guess that's normal. Action's fine on it. You know, the way that these are made, if you're more familiar with the standard Para 3, that's not the lightweight, that one has full steel liners. This has only got a steel liner on the side that has the compression lock, and then it's got just a partial little steel liner up near the top of the other side, and it's just FRN otherwise, but it's pretty stable. It's not squishy in the way that like a bug out would be. Deep carry wire pocket clip, lanyard hole, Spyderco's bidirectional texturing, good jimping, full flat grind. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on it because I think the Para 3 is a pretty familiar model to a lot of viewers. It's just that this one has different color and different blade steel. So I want to spend most of my time talking about blade steel, which I've done. Thanks very much for tuning in to my video. I hope to see you again. Go ahead and like and subscribe, and you'll get more knife content on a regular basis. Thanks.